Hello, everyone. At the outset, I express my sincere gratitude for providing me this opportunity to present my poem solo at this platform to of fertile brains, and the organizers are poet Rupali Sarkar Gaur, poet Sunita Hussain Didi, poet Shilpa Didi, poetess Gelda, Jayashri Tao Didi, poet Ekta Ahuja, poet Garima Omkari, Shweta Ji, poet Nirmala Mahesh, poet Arindam Roy, sir, poet Parvez Shahryar sir, poetess Maria Elvira, poet Hari Prasad, and poet Kumar K. Prasannaji. Let me introduce myself. I am Dr. Tejaswini Patil from Karat, district Satara, Maharashtra. I am academician, trilingual poet, children's short story writer, editor, co-founder of two international journals, INNSÄI and Matru Akshar, social worker and humanist. I'm a granddaughter of two freedom fighters. I'm proud to tell. Professor Madhurao Shripatrao Bhusle from maternal side, who ran away from school to take part in Dandi March of Gandhiji, and Sri Panduranga Jadhav from my paternal side, who took active part in famous Birashi Satyagraha in Sangli district. I started my journey as an academician since 1992. I worked in Mahavir Mahavidyalaya Kolhapur, Srimati Kusumtai Rajaram Bapu Patil Kanya Mahavidyalaya Islampur, Arts and Commerce College Ashta, and Arts and Commerce College Kasegaon, where I am presently working. In my college days, I have participated in student organization Chhatra Bharat, which pushed me towards social work. My father, Dr. Sampatrao Jadhav, being a professor in Hindi and principal of our college for 4 years, encouraged all our siblings towards avid reading. My mother, Ms. Mandakini Jadhav, took my English classes at home, which is strong base for my poetic creation. I'm providing this information because this all has worked as a background for why I write poetry. Yeah. Further, I would like to respond to the basic query, that is what is the instinct behind my poetry writing. I feel that it is my instinctive remark. This is my instinctive response to the things I approach in my day-to-day life. I have been an introvert personality since childhood, but later on, when I changed my profession, academics, I changed my personality, maybe in some way, but still, as a way I feel myself to be an introvert. The childhood I spent in the poor, remote area of Patan Hilly region in Satara district of Maharashtra is very important for me. However, the campus of the college developed by Honorable Balasaheb Desai after the devastating earthquake in 1967, which is named after him as Balasaheb Desai College Patan, was and is still beautiful. When I look back, I feel myself like Alice in Wonderland. 1,600 trees, well-planned gardens, staffed quarters. Everything fostered my poetic imagination in my childhood. I would like to note here that my first Marathi poem, Cheetah, based on my reading of a Marathi novel when I was 12, 13 years old. This poem was published enthusiastically by my grandfather, uh, Madhura Bhosle, in the then famous daily Pudhari from Kolhapur. Here, I would like to recite my first poem in this sense. Cheetah is not, the only few lines are there. I can remember. They are काळा काळा चित्ता येईल बघा तो आता लहानसे केस जणू काळी काळी लेस काळा काळा चित्ता येईल बघा तो आता etc. I just don't remember the whole verse now. The first poem I'm going to recite for you all is titled Word Sanctuary. The poem goes, for years, my heart has been developed as a word sanctuary. For years, my heart has been developed as a word sanctuary. I have let the words develop their roots their own way. I have seen their seeds enrooting in the soil, having forests in the beauty of the sanctuary enchants me and scares me as well to enter into it. The surroundings, events, experiences, and the lives of the great men around have fed it with new species, adding to its complexity. Whenever I'm lost in it, the life calls me. Whenever I'm lost in this word sanctuary, the life calls me back, and it is quite difficult to carry life along and the den within, to carry life along and the den within. So this way I started my writing poetry. As I told that I started writing in Marathi. I was writing Marathi poetry. I was showing them to my father, and he approved them. That was the basic thing, the encouragement from his side. Once when I wrote some poem, my Marathi, I showed it to my father, and he said, whenever you write like this, just show it. And I felt that when the person, scholarly person like my father, wants my poems to be read, there must be something in it or in them. So I continued. I know my father's encouragement is continuously there behind my poetry. So he insisted that instead of science faculty, I should continue with arts. And so I continued. I completed my graduation in English as my special subject, and post graduation also in entire English as well as further in MPhil and PhD, like that. So basically, I began my writing in Marathi. I published them in our college journal magazine, Daulat, and still I was writing in English as well, but I didn't have any confidence to publish them outside. When I entered the premises of Shivaji University, Department of English, there once I wrote a poem. Title was I Have Seen My Dept. Actually, some of my teachers laughed that at the age of 28, 19, 20, you are writing like a metaphysical poet. So I have seen my death, and they said, do write, to continue writing. And further, it actually built my confidence that, yeah, I can write. And the instinct, the event that made me write this poem was I was studying language and language book, and there was one example, I'm dead, and that made me think over it that how can one be able to say I'm dead? And then I continued and I wrote that poem. So further, I continued writing about various aspects. First important thing I wrote about in Marathi or English poems is nature. As I told that the childhood I spent in Patan district, Patan Taluka, and the area surrounded by hills. Such a beautiful area. I still remember scenes, and they do encourage me now as well to write. So that childhood days I write about, the moments I have spent with nature I write about. As I grew as a woman, when I felt I had experiences, but they were different. They were not as expected as actually a free woman, I can say, because my father nourished all our five daughters, for five sisters, as just like men or boys. So we were feeling very, very free since childhood. But as I entered the actual arena of the world, I got so many experiences. And that made me think about women's identity, the identity of Tejaswini Patil or Tejaswini as a woman. So why she's locked in the four walls? Why, as a woman, she tries to find the DNAs in the past, what she hates. So, as I told that childhood is very much important source of inspiration for me to write that. In my childhood, I have listened to many stories told to me and my siblings and even surrounding my friends, whereby my grandmother, whom we called Aisahib or Aisa, I still remember the whole event which I have picturized in this poem, which I'm going to read here. The title is Aisa. We surrounded Aisa. Tell us stories. Not now. I'm busy, she wrote. She had made us undertake voyages to the lands of Sita, Draupadi, Savitri, and the princesses abducted by devils. Her rescue by a brave young prince upheld our breaths. We always thought Aisa was the heir to them, concentrating the whole world around on her lips. We grasped each other's hands tightly with pale faces when the prince moved through the demon's magical land and felt relieved with her release. Even in dreams, we lived the stories and woke up at midnight with a scream. We had seen Aisa muttering the name of God at leisure, uttering the last word in disputes, and chattering with her daughters. We thought her to have a mysterious ability to reach the heaven, the hell, and even around the globe without stepping out of the threshold. We repeated, Aisa, please. She came with us, settled herself on the high seat, and with a sigh uttered to herself, which new story can I tell you? My life itself has become a story. And then, whenever I remember the line, the sentence spoken by her, I go back to her life she might have gone through. And that also triggers me to write some of them. So, turning to another, that is another poem, which I'm going to read here for you, is again based on the experience which I have seen closely. It is not the cup of coffee. The title of the poem is A Cup of Coffee. It is not the cup of coffee you offer I sip in a restaurant. It is not the cup of coffee you offer I sip in a restaurant. I sip you deep in me, sip by sip. I cannot measure or decide the distance between two coffees. I cannot measure or decide the distance between two coffees, but I can sip you again and again behind closed eyes. I can sip you again and again behind closed eyes. So I hope you may like this poem. So I'm going to another experience of mine when I was traveling on the highway, where I saw an insane fellow sleeping carelessly on the sides of the highway where high-speed trucks are rushing. That made me feel, that made me think that why he is not afraid of all these things, why he is not afraid of death. Perhaps he is moving through long zero. For him, it is not the time space. Time has stopped. And so I wrote, the man walking on the line of insanity is passing through a long zero. A man walking on the line of insanity is passing through a long zero. The seasons have stopped moving in and out of him. The seasons have stopped moving in and out of him. Now, for him, the sun is cold, the moon is burning. They do not affect his charred skin through tattoos. Unaware of his unclean long hair and beards, unaware of his unclean long hair and beards, he rests himself beside the speeding trucks, and they race with death in a calm gesture of a rishi in a samadhi. Rishi only can be calm and quiet on the race of death on head. So that was a poem I wrote about the insane person I saw. Then I shall move forwards with the poem that is Talons and Nets. It is the title poem of this collection, Talons and Nets, which has been translated into Romanian by my friend Ligia Tomoyega from Bayamare, Romania. So this title poem I would like to read for you, and it goes like this. Talons fixed in nets. I'm presenting myself as a woman, as a bird who wants to escape the talons, the nets, what I feel. Talons fixed in nets. I'm trying to soar to measure the skies. I'm trying to soar to measure the skies. Is it a worthless journey? Is it possible to uproot the superficial nets to dive into my skies? Is it a worthless journey? Is it possible to uproot these superficial nets? Let me dive into my skies. So these are the questions I have raised as a woman. So this was the first collection of my poetry, that is Talents and Nets. I'm now moving forwards to my another collection of English poetry, that is Verses of Silence. So why silence? So I feel that many of the times I am not able to express whatever I feel directly, openly, in words. So what I do is I contemplate, I think, and I write, and I express myself silently. As I have worked for my PhD on the poetry of Dr. A.K. Ramanujan and Dr. Jayanta Mahapatra, they have influenced me a lot. Both of them are significant poets, postmodern and postmodern. So I have read their poetry, all the poems I dare to say. And I have found that they have influenced me. The poetry of Ramanujan, with limited number of words or brevity of the poem, we can say, that has impressed me. And the genuinity, let's say, genuinity is there in always all the poems of all poets, but still, when I met Jayanta Mahapatra Sir Babuji, he told, when I asked that how to write, how to write, what to write, I just want guidance from him. And he said, put your hand on your heart, and this is the honesty of the feelings. If it is not there, I think the poetry cannot be true. That cannot be appealing to the hearts of the readers or listeners. So the next poem I'm going to read is Conventions. So this poem again is influenced by A.K. Ramanujan's poem Conventions of Despair. So the poem goes like this. You too believed in the conventions of despair like Ramanujan, drowning yourself alive in the craters of the hell? You too believe in conventions of despair like Ramanujan, drowning yourself alive in the craters of the hell? You sigh deep, looking at the dark lines on your right arm, and wipe the corners of your eyes, looking at the inscription carved on your forehead on the fifth day of your birth. While breaking all the conventions, discarding the lines on my left, I wait for you at the door of your heart. So, as I said, the conventions of despair has influenced me to write this poem. One more poem I would like to recite here, and it is The Day Opens. It was published in Boundless Anthology by RGVI, RGVIPF, USA, Texas. The day opens with the prince of relations crushed, relationships stained with rapes, gang rapes, exiles for those who nurtured our roots, money blocked, poverty growling everywhere in the shapes of money plants, humanity begging for life. It closes with the orphanages crowding around, the instruments taking over souls, dialogues getting silenced, and they creep into my dreams. I wake up with a start or a shout and try to figure the seeds of samskaras still fertile. At the bottom of my entity, I find the creepers of the sprouted seeds have burnt, and I decide I will water them, I will nurture them, will grow them to the sky. So these sprouts of humanity are required to continue. Another poem I would like to read is from third collection of my English poems is A Glass of Time. All these three collections have been published by Authorspress, Delhi. I'm very much thankful to Dr. Kecheri sir, and I'm reading my title poem of this collection, A Glass of Time. Hey, why do you come to me only with a glass of time? Hey, why do you come to me only with a glass of time? You put it before me, and astonished, I start sipping. Lost in your eyes, deep blue, I lose half of my time. Espying the loss, I slow down the rhyme. Evening melts into it. Stars rise from the surface. I try to extend my glass. You allow it, knowing the limit. If you don't sip them, it loses the taste. With the last one, you rise with unrest. I realize, I realize it's not you that has brought the glass, but the destiny has handed it to you, the delicious time to cross. But the destiny has handed it to you, the delicious time to cross. I think I hope you like the poems. The next poem I am going to read here is about my grandfather, about whom I have spoken in the beginning, who who ran away from the school and joined Gandhiji's Dandi Yatra. Down the Memory Lane. The title of the poem is Down the Memory Lane. I knew not why my grandpa hypnotized me with his mesmerizing words to sit under a coconut tree in the backyard and read out the famous lines of Panchavat. I simply received those treasures with him. His walk out from the school led him to Gandhi's Dandi March. made me feel the touch of Gandhi's hands, the patriotic fervor in telling stories of conquering the Shahid and Swaraj by Azad in the Singh imbibed in me the nation to be first. In a cozy room, he described his first trip in Manasarovar, experiencing thousands of needles pierced the skin to eliminate the sins. He belonged to a different land. He never was a practical man to note every give and take and respond to the. I feel proud to be alone among his grandchildren in a dozen. He chose to be disclosed. I feel proud to be alone among his grandchildren in a dozen. He chose to be disclosed. So this is the poem I wrote about my grandfather. And one more poem I would like to read here, and I would like to conclude. When there are mishaps, natural mishaps, devastating mishaps, how humanity uh, comes up and how we help each other. So no hero has a feather in his cap. The landslide gallops a village in the dark. Hundreds of lives desolate and stark. He moves ahead all alone to take away from its grip one by one, to vanish unnoticed, silent. Somewhere a bridge is swallowed. Somewhere a bridge is swallowed by the roaring tides into the eternal dark. Everyone rides. He jumps amidst to save the tourists, to be forgotten, undesignated. Animate and inanimate. The Holocaust devours, turning it into ash spars. He runs into the flames crimson and makes the fauna outside run, disappear anonymously. The tsunami wraps the beaches into its devastating lap, death and life to each other's swap. The lone canoe he paddles, the scared souls with love he cuddles, to evaporate in namelessness. Friends, the hero doesn't have feather in his cap. Friends, the hero doesn't have a feather in his cap, nor is he a designated chap. He is the one who follows his sword, waiting for none reaches his goal. Isn't it our duty to give him a bow? Isn't it our duty to give him a bow and to follow his steps? Let them be slow. So, in these poems, I would like to, I have expressed all my collections. I have represented only 3 collections. Just I want to show you this one, which has Hindi poems. And if time permits, I will read one small poem in Hindi. The poem goes like this. The title is Roshni. अभी मैं पर्दा गिराने ही वाली थी. अभी मैं पर्दा गिराने ही वाली थी कि उस तरफ से रोशनी दिखाई. कितने साल यूं रोशनी में गुजार दिए मैंने, सामने वाले अंधेरे को टटोलते हुए. कितने साल यूं रोशनी में गुजार दिए मैंने, सामने वाले अंधेरे को टटोलते हुए. अब भरोसा उठने ही वाला था, उस तरफ से रोशनी दिखाई. रोशनी में रहकर तलाश करना कितना मुश्किल है कि हर नजर आप पर गड़ी होती. निराश होकर अभी आंखें नींदने ही वाली थी कि उस तरफ से रोशनी दिखाई. इतने लंबे समय तक दिल की लौ को जलाए रखा ताकि उस दूसरी लौ को फिर से जला. ये लौ अभी बुझने ही वाली थी कि उस तरफ से रोशनी दिखाई. मेरी खोई हुई आत्मा को पूछती रही दूर दूर तक, मेरी खोई हुई आत्मा को खोजती रही दूर दूर तक, खुद को मिटा न सकती थी कि वो मैं न थी। मेरे अंदर की आप खुद को पाने के लिए बस डूबने ही वाली थी सदा के लिए कि उस तरफ से पुष्ट दिखाई। With this poem, I conclude my presentation and I express again my deepest sense of gratitude towards Fertile Beds to provide me the platform on the solo presentation of my poetry. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much, Prasanna ji.